boom, boom. Gotta get boom, boom, boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Head of Community for X.commerce, Naveed Anwar.
That boom, boom, boom.
Good morning, good morning.
Got that hit to beat the block. You can get that bass.
Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the second day of Innovate. I hope you guys had a lot of fun last night. Did you guys? I definitely am so happy to see us starting 30 minutes later today, because I definitely needed that time to get up this morning. Did you enjoy Matthew take some great hits yesterday? Who all got a chance to have a sumo wrestling match with Matthew yesterday? Can I see some hands? Whoa, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. You guys will be getting your awards pretty soon. How about the shins? You guys have fun? And there was something. And those big balls going all over the place and those games, I tell you, I've been to a lot of developer parties, and a lot of you guys came up and said that was a real crescendo for them, really enjoying playing video games, dodgeball. So hopefully you guys had fun, because we really enjoyed hosting you last night. You know, being the head of community is the perfect definition of what I like to do. I spend time meeting new people and hearing about interesting ideas. My passion is to build communities. And that's why when I see communities come to life, that's what makes me really, really happy. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's roll the video.
It's really a burgeoning market. And what I mean by that is that we're seeing this seed change. People are moving from online to offline. They're moving to having commerce in their hand at that moment.
I was just up in Portland 2 weeks ago with literally hundreds of small business owners, and what we heard from them time and time again were, help me find customers and get their money.
So that's basically what we're trying to do with Tiny Pay Me, is just eliminating all the boundaries and barriers that are out there for distributing these digital files.
We need to go find more data sources. We need to continue to increase the quality of the data we have. We need to find ways to get in front of more small business owners.
E-commerce space is growing and growing. The number of merchants is growing. There's an opportunity for smaller and medium-sized merchants to play like the big boys and use the services the big boys use.
The advantages of the unified architecture that X.commerce provides is it gives you a one-stop shop as a developer that you can go to and grab things like a payment architecture, a point-of-sales system, in fact, a full marketplace kind of ability.
When we started Fundraiser, we saw the opportunity to really innovate within the social networking, social media space to make funding much easier. I see the X.commerce platform as adding the same kind of innovation capabilities for us to extend it out into commerce in a much more global basis.
So what I hope that the X.commerce will bring is bring some more transparency into the solutions that are out there, the e-commerce solutions that are out there.
Advancement in technology will accelerate. It'll be more and more widespread, and X.commerce will pull it together so merchants get the best of all of it.
This transformation that we're seeing in commerce from online purely to things that are offline and mobile, things that are provided by X.commerce, for example, the savvy companies are seeing that and taking advantage of those kind of capabilities. So at Yorter, we see the future being really bright.
So this is just an example of some of our community members who've been working with us over the last couple of years, all the way from PayPal, Magento, as well as our eBay communities. And that's why it is great to be able to host this segment this morning. This is when we take some time to recognize the brightest people from our community who've been working over the years, building and answering questions and taking our community at the next level. We want to take a few minutes and recognize some of the best and brightest. For that, I would like to invite John Donahoe to join me on stage. Morning, John.
Good morning, everybody.
And now, can I have the community members please come out? All right, we start off with Stephen Cooper. Stephen Cooper is our integration guru. Stephen is always available and willing to help anyone answer any questions in our PayPal external developer community. By the way, he's come all the way from Melbourne to be over here with us, so give him a big hand, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
get a picture here somewhere.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen.
The next award goes to Andrew Angel. He's our e-commerce specialist. Andrew continuously offers support through the forums. He's extremely familiar with our PayPal APIs and always there when someone needs help.
Congratulations, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next award is from our eBay developer community. And that award goes to Jake Baker, our forum friend. Jake. Congratulations.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Jake has been part of the eBay developer program and is active in the forums and always providing help and facilitating the forums. Jake, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next award goes to Chris Taylor. He's our ecosystem champion. Chris has always focused his efforts not only on researching and presenting the ways that sellers sell and do their business on eBay, but also is the leading person who has created the eBay seller meetup in the Silicon Valley.
Congratulations.
The next three awards are from our Magento community. And these guys have come from far and away. Our Magento Community Builder winners have each taken initiative in building extremely successful events in France, Germany, and Netherlands. It's my pleasure to now introduce our Magento Community Builder Awards to, starting with Germany, it's Rico Neitzel. Congratulations. Also from Germany, we've got Thomas Fleck.
Thomas, congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks.
From Netherlands, we've got Guido Jansen.
The Dutch Award. You're the tallest one.
And we also have an award for Philippe Humey. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he had a prior engagement. But let's give him a round of applause. The final award goes to someone really special in our community. And that person is John Jessup. John has been an active participant in our PayPal, eBay, as well as X.commerce. Ever since we announced our initiative in May, John has been ringing us, calling us, and saying, what can I do? How can I help? So this is a true testament of someone who really knows how to run a community and be a community champion. Let's congratulate John. John, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I just wanted to say a couple quick things. You know, one of the most exciting parts of living in the internet and thinking about innovation is we're so forward-looking, right? We're always looking forward, and that's great. But what I like about something that we've just been through is it's also looking a little bit at our recent past. And I'm really clear that everything that we do rests on the shoulders of the pioneers who got us to where we are. And that's true in the community. And it's also true in the VC panel that you're about to see. For the VCs you're about to see, we're foundational in creating eBay and PayPal. You're going to see the Maynard Webb, who was the first CTO of eBay for the first decade. You're going to see Jeff Jordan, who really helped build the eBay business and the PayPal business. You're going to see Dana Stalder, who did the same. And you're going to see Chris Freylock, who helped bring Half.com to eBay. And I just want to recognize, I'm really proud of where we're going with our company and this platform, but I'm also really clear that we rest on the shoulders and the foundation that these guys have brought. So I want to ask you guys to join me before they even come out in recognizing and thanking them. And I know you'll find the next section of the VC, you call it VC speed dating, I guess?
VC bait.
VC bait being very attractive. So join me and please thanking those pioneers. All right, onward.
Thank you. So as John mentioned, our next session for the morning is our VC bait session. And I know that you guys have been waiting for this. I know the guys who are the 3 finalists, they actually skipped our party last night because they wanted to get a good night's sleep. They wanted to make sure they were fresh for their presentations. So very shortly, I'll be bringing out the VC panels. If the VC panel can please come out, and then I'll introduce you guys to them. Let's welcome on the stage. These guys have a very easy job this morning. They're going to be the judge. They're going to be the judges who are going to make the final decision on who wins our grand prize today. Let me start by introducing, and if you guys can raise your hands as I introduce you. First, let's start with Aydin Sunkut. He's the founder and president of Felicious Ventures. Aydin. Dana Stalder is a Silicon Valley-based general partner at Matrix Partners. Jeff Jordan is a general partner at Andreessen & Horowitz. As John mentioned, our ex-CTO, Maynard Webb. He's the chairman of Salesforce.com and founder of Web Investment Net. And Chris Freylock is a partner in First Round Capital. So let me set some context on how this thing is going to run on stage, because this is where you as a crowd get involved and bring the energy to the contestants and the people who are going to be making the pitch. We're going to bring one contestant out at a time. We're going to give them 90 seconds. And you'll see a big old clock in the back over here, which is going to count down. They get 90 seconds to make their pitch. We're going to give our VCs about 2 minutes to ask any questions and deliberate. And we will repeat this 3 times for every pitch. And after that, I will give the judges about 2 minutes to just share their thoughts. And at the very end, we'll give them 1 minute privately to make a decision. They'll hand me the final award winner, and we'll announce it on stage. And what are these guys going for? The award for the winner is $25,000 in cash, 1 year Magento Enterprise Edition licensing up to $15,000 in value, and 1 year hosting from Rackspace $24,000 value. So it's over $60,000 worth of cash and services that is at stake this morning. So with that, let me invite Steve from OneID to come out on stage. Oh, he's coming from this side.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kirsch. I'm CEO of OneID. I'm a veteran Silicon Valley entrepreneur. I've had 5 startups over 30 years. I've earned $2 billion for my investors. I've come up with visionary products such as the optical mouse, FrameMaker, and the first internet search engine. And I'm delighted to be here today to share with you my best invention ever. You know, I'm just like you. I have 1 wife, 3 kids, 1 cat, 1 car, And I have 352 usernames and passwords. Now that's ridiculous. That's why I started OneID, to fix that. OneID is digital identity done right. What you do in OneID is you convince the device in front of you that you are you. And after that, that device can digitally assert your identity to websites, enterprise apps, mobile apps, even offline, with your express approval. So what happens if we do a deal with Magento Go, for example? Every Magento Go website now has some interesting characteristics. You can say goodbye to having to log in with a username and password. Say goodbye to invalid login or password error messages. Say goodbye to having to register as a new customer. Forgot your password? Can't happen anymore. Ever have to fill out a form to create a new account? Nope, don't have to do that. All of these, I don't remember the discount codes, no problem. Billing information, you don't have to enter that. Payment information, you don't have to enter that. No more CAPTCHAs, no more verify your email address, and no more invalid formats.
Time's up. Thank you. So guys, what do you think?
I'll start. Steve, I love the problem, one I've had for a long time. What's kept a solution from happening before? There have been a lot of other people who have tried.
Yes, there have been. And what's happened is that we now have, it was kind of a perfect storm. The consumers are ready, enterprises are ready, and the technology is ready. We now have HTML5, and that enables us to do things we couldn't do before with local storage. And we also have elliptic curve cryptography, which is now fast enough, and our mobile devices are fast enough. And so we're having this perfect storm of technology, and people are ready. People are tired of all the usernames and passwords.
Can you explain a little bit about how you identify yourself to your device, and that does it time out after a while and make sure that it's you when you come back, all those things?
Yeah, so you do a one-time, for each device that you have, you do a one-time registration. You type in one username and password that you have to remember. And then for the rest of time, you never have to do anything. No more username and password. So you just register the device once. And after that, then you can authenticate with a PIN code or however you want to do it. There's some other very fast ways to authenticate.
And is it single-factor authentication?
No. We actually, we're the first people to do 3 separate individual, they're independent 3 digital signatures. And they come from your device, the cloud, and your out-of-band device. So it's the most secure identity ever created. And in fact, I will offer anybody $1 million if they can break into my OneID account, and I will even give you my username and password to make it easier.
I'll offer you $1 million now.
That's a bold statement.
Right, how many, does anyone else offer that?
And you need funding?
Okay, so I'm trying to raise $5 million. I've actually got offers to put $10 million in the company. So, $10 million and $20 I get.
All right, guys, we have time for one more question.
I'm curious how you think about the adoption by the merchant side or the enterprise side. Do you start with the long-tail e-commerce merchant that uses Magento? Do you start with the eBays or the PayPals and try to get them to adopt, or do you start at the enterprise level?
Yeah, you know, the adoption is the thing that people are concerned about the most. And the way we do it, we're kind of like Intel. We create this technology, and it can be used both in enterprise and consumer sites and so forth. And so we found that we've got traction with banks, with enterprises. Cisco wants to put it into their next generation VPN product, and we have traction with Magento and other e-commerce providers. Yahoo wants to integrate our stuff with 350 million users. So we have people that want to do it on both sides, enterprise and consumer. It's one identity that transcends enterprise and consumer.
Steve, we have to go. Thank you.
Thank
you so much. Next, I will invite Adam from Madoa to come on stage. In the middle of it here.
Can we cue the video? I'm Adam with Madoa, and I've got a quick video to show you, and then I'm going to come back with a couple slides.
So you've been advertising with Bing, Facebook, and Google AdWords. But maybe it's been taking too much time to manage, costing too much per conversion, or maybe you're even paying an agency 10% of the ad budget to manage it for you. Well, there's a much simpler way to advertise, and it's called Madoa. Unlike updating online advertising by hand, Madoa keeps your campaigns up to date all the time automatically, ensuring that your ads are relevant to the products you are selling right now. Changing prices, adding inventory, running out of stock, or even just testing creative ideas. Madoa keeps pace with you no matter what. You can easily integrate your store or website to Madoa simply by uploading a feed via FTP or using one of our custom integrations such as Magento and Magento Go. You'll create campaigns in a snap using our 3-step process.
All right.
37 seconds left.
Thank you. So real quick, kind of what we did and what we made it easy to do is do online marketing integrated directly into Magento. So previously, you might spend 40-plus hours or a week to build out online advertising campaigns. Now with Madoa and the integration we built in Magento, you can do it in just minutes. We found that it was really hard to be relevant with your advertising with just brand and category campaigns. So now really we're harnessing the power of what you've done in Magento, your product names, your attributes, your meta keywords, and really generating ads automatically with that. This is our go-to-market strategy. We kind of sit in between publishers like Google and the platform itself.
Time's up. All right, guys, any questions for Adam?
Adam, quick question. Nice video. There are similar services out there, and I'm just trying to understand, is one of the important differentiations that you directly integrate with Magento, and the channel strategy there is one of the important factors in your success?
What was the second part of the question? I couldn't hear.
Is the channel strategy an important factor in your success?
It is. Well, right now we're working directly with Google, but we plan on adding other channels, other places to publish ads.
Do you work with display or search or both?
Right now, search primarily.
Okay. And what is the business model? Pay per performance, or?
We've actually developed a model where we're just metering ads that are created. So if you have 5,000 products, it would be 5,000 ads created. And then every time they're updated based on your inventory changes, we just charge per ad updated. So no percentage of media spend or anything like that.
Can you also touch the conversion and the retention of the users once they discover you?
Yeah, so what we found in a test at a case study with Costumes Inc., but previously they were paying about $30 per conversion, and after using Madoa for about 10 days, long-tail conversions came in at about $10 per conversion. So really, huge improvement in ROI.
And I didn't catch this in your speech. How far along are you, and how much traction have you gotten?
We had a beta program a few months ago with 100 customers in 5 countries, so we're multi-language, multi-currency. And we just launched about 30 days ago. We have 170 Magento customers, and about 20 have already converted to paying. So our service is only about 30 days old.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks. Oh, I'll pass it. Thank you.
I don't know about you all, but it takes a lot of guts to come out over here and present early in the morning and have a fireside chat like this with the leading VCs from the Valley. But with that, I'll invite our last finalist. His name is Dimitri from Peekaboo.com. Dimitri?
Hey. Hi. My name is Dimitri Balin, and I'm with Peekaboo.com. So we would like to introduce you to the platform for social commerce that we believe is going to disrupt the way consumers make purchases. Here's the basic idea. Think of it as a reverse eBay. So we want to capture people's requests, desires, or intents to buy products or services, whether it's online or local, through all kinds of channels, whether it's through mobile devices, Facebook, Twitter, through Peekaboo, through API. We capture these requests, we analyze them through fairly sophisticated mechanisms, and then we notify merchants about these incoming requests based on the product listings or service offerings that the merchant submitted to Peekaboo. And then there is the next really cool thing, where merchants can actually compete to give the best price or the best deal, or if there is a number of requests that we can aggregate together and that become a group kind of deal. So the merchants compete to give the best price to the consumers. So from the business model standpoint, we generate revenue from the merchants, and they actually knock on the door. We've got about 5,000 merchants who signed up so far, and the number keeps growing. The basic thing is that they pay for the listings to get listed their products and services on the website. They pay for the leads that get generated, and they pay for the transactions if the transactions happen on the website. As the company, we sold our previous startup to Microsoft a few years ago, and this is our next big thing that we strongly believe is going to be huge. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitri. Who wants to go first?
I'll give it a shot. Nice job, Dimitri.
Thank you.
I think this model has been tried in slightly different flavors previously in some venture-backed companies. Jeff and I were just commenting to each other. There was a feature we launched on eBay probably 7 years ago now called Want It Now. And your predecessors ultimately built nice businesses but didn't build anything breakout. I'm curious, have you looked at that history before, and what are the key learnings for you, and how do you build something bigger this time?
Absolutely, yeah. So we believe that we create a complete solution. So it's actually a platform for the people to create a whole bunch of different scenarios. Like, for example, this whole reverse eBay type of thing, like price line for everything, or landing tree for everything. There is another one, the social aspect. So it's like marrying recommendations to the wish list, to the lead generation. In other words, if the person says, hey, I want to buy a car, and these are my options, so the recommendation which one to go for, which one to buy, would come down not to just go to this dealer or go to that one, but to the actual request that gets captured.
I was just going to ask how you handle dispute resolution.
I'm sorry.
Dispute resolution.
Oh, so we have the rankings in the website, and so we do. So there are two basic scenarios. One is for the offline commerce, for the local commerce. The other one for the online. So if let's say someone wants to buy the moving, they'll say, I need a moving company to help me to move my stuff. This transaction would happen offline. In this case, we play the role of lead generation. If it's for the online, yes, we're gonna support the dispute resolution.
Time for one last question.
Do the merchants are dealing with one-off requests? Are they interested in doing that, given the labor costs and handling?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when they log into the merchant center, they see the full listing of all the requests that fit into their criteria, and that's why they like it. So the whole point for them is that, and that's no one offers at this point, to know who wants to buy their products right now, and this is the value prop.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand to Dimitri.
Thank you.
So you heard these fast-paced pitches over here this morning. What do you guys think?
I think you've got three great finalists. Just some top.
That's why I have the easy job of standing over here, and you guys are doing the lovely job.
I think the last one we just saw, the biggest challenge there is the cold start problem. How do you get enough demand in the system before supply will pay attention to it? I think the second idea, the second company, is probably the clearest path to revenues out of the gate, solving a straightforward problem. I think the first one is the biggest idea if you can get it right. But a good set of finalists.
Good.
I'll expand on that. I think the very last company that presented is very difficult to change consumer behavior. And you want to also do that at the point of purchase. I think it's very difficult for people to be motivated to go to a website and indicate what they're interested in and what price. It's just too much trouble for very little benefit. I think the second company, what I liked about it is the clear use case scenario. It's immediately understandable why it's working and it's relevant. The very first one, I feel like, you know, he had 52 user IDs, but there's only 3 or 4 that matter. So again, I'm a little bit skeptical about the implementation of that idea.
Yeah, the third one, it's just I've seen that movie so many times inside eBay that I'm probably a little too skeptical about how much traction that's going to get, but I'm hopeful that it will. I really love the first concept, and it'd be nice to see at scale. So I like that one, and the second one I thought did a very good job of presenting.
Good. Dana?
This is my third year judging out of the 3 X.commerce events, and I'd say hands down the quality of finalists is up significantly every year, this year in particular, so it's great.
you know, it's hard being an entrepreneur at any time. Getting on stage, give 90 seconds to present makes, you know, doubles down on it. At Andreessen Horowitz, we have a thesis that every year about a dozen companies create virtually all the venture returns. So we're looking for a business that can go, you know, be large at scale. For me, the first business, you know, solves an acute problem, and you know, and you could see it being pervasive if he got it. So that was the one that we would probably be chasing after.
Thank you. So while you guys deliberate and come to an answer, I'm going to invite all the 3 finalists to come out and sweat on stage while you guys are making that decision. Hey guys, can I have Steve, Dimitri, and Adam come out, please? Guys, give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nervous?
Well.
So the audience is going to vote one of us off, or just have to say vote for me?
How was your pitch yesterday? The pitch session yesterday?
Oh, that was great.
Good?
Was great.
You enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah. And especially the people that you meet afterwards come up and introduce themselves. And yeah, so I found a great guy for business development. He's got the perfect background. So it was a great experience for me.
2 minutes was a little better than 90 seconds. So it's like...
And have you had a chance to go and attend any of the sessions, or have you guys just been concentrating on your ideas?
Yeah, we've been to all the API sessions. That's what we're most interested in.
Great,
so,
great. How about yourself, Dimitri?
Well, I just wanted to get some sleep yesterday and to get some rest and, you know, be fresh this morning.
Cool. I think they've come to a consensus. I'll go and get the answer over here.
We have selected number 1.
Number 1. Nice. OneID, congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
And can I get a round of applause for our judges as well? Thank you very much for coming and helping us this morning. All right. I think that's a great way of getting you guys energized and getting this morning going. I think it's always great to get these ideas out because you never know who might have that $1 million idea. You never know who's going to be presenting with us on stage next year. So keep those ideas coming, innovate. That's what we're telling you guys to do. Bring your ideas to life. And tomorrow, you'll get an opportunity to work with our engineers at the XDev Camp to bring these ideas to life as well. So all right. Before I bring out our morning keynote speaker, let me tell you a little bit about him. Marshall Cohen is a chief industry analyst for NPD Group. He's a former fashion industry insider and a retail consumer behavior expert. He's the author of several books, including Why Customers Do What They Do and Buy Me. New ways to get customers to choose your product and ignore the rest. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Please welcome Marshall Cohen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Industry Analyst, the NPD Group, Marshall Cohen.
Good morning, everybody. It really is a pleasure to be here, and I know everybody always says that. But the reason why I'm really glad to be speaking to you guys is because you guys get it. It's about innovation, and it's really about recognizing that that's what's going to drive the market forward. We all hear a lot about the economy. We all hear a lot about things that are going on in the marketplace. And I'm going to share with you what's going on. I've seen more changes in the consumer in the past year than I've seen in the past decade. And I want to share with you some of the things that are going on. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details of all the different issues that we're all faced with, no matter what kind of business you're running. All right? But it really is about understanding how to turn those adversities into opportunities. And that's what I want to talk about now. Retail sales in the United States is only up a mere 0.1% last month. Doesn't sound like a lot, and it could be worse. But the good news is that it's branding time. Why do I say branding time? Because it's really about recognizing that the consumer has now entered into a new stage. You know, I keep getting asked questions all the time. Are we in a new economy? Well, we're really not in a new economy. We've seen this movie before. But what we are in is a new era of consumption. We've entered into a period where we've gone from conspicuous consumption prior to the recession, where the consumer had no regard for where they were going to get the money to spend on the product that they were going to buy, and just spend it on everything and anything. The bigger the bag, the better. Okay? But what we have turned into is what I call calculated consumption. What's calculated consumption? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's a quote, consumer asking themselves, do I really want this? Do I really need this? How am I going to pay for it? And if I buy this, what am I not going to buy instead? What you've got to do is you've got to figure out how do you make your product fit into that calculated consumer's mindset. How do you get the consumer to sit there and say, I want to buy this because I know I'm not going to be able to buy something else? And it's about recognizing that's the changing element. And how do you communicate that to the consumer is another issue. But first, I want to talk about a couple things that are going on out there. And we all face this. And we have to recognize that there are these things that are called issues. And an issue could be something as simple as the price of gasoline having an effect on consumption. And I want to share with you the fact that when gas rose to almost $4 average U.S. price per gallon, compare that to where the retail consumption did. And you can follow this red line, and that mirrors what's going on when you sit there and you look at retail sales. And you can see that even during the peak period where we saw a rise in gasoline prices, we still saw slight growth at retail. Now, the big question is, does gas really affect consumption? Well, on the lower income consumer, the answer is yes. On the general consumer, the answer is no. Now, the real thing, though, is that would it have been a healthier growth if gas prices hadn't risen so much? Slightly so. So really, it's an issue that's only become a distraction. And you get to understand what's going on with that. That's one example. There's several other examples that are going on out there. And it's about recognizing that what's happening is even the weather. Now, I've been doing retail and manufacturing and analyzing these businesses for almost 30 years. And I can tell you that for the last 29 years, I've never given a retailer the opportunity to sit there and say that weather was a good reason why their business was off, unless they were selling umbrellas. And that had a good reason. But really, what am I getting at is that weather is only, it may snow in Midwest one year, and the following year, it might snow somewhere else. So it's really never been a good opportunity to do that. But we've had several different things that have happened over the past year that have changed my philosophy on this. We've had tsunamis, we've had floods, we've had hurricanes, we've had snowstorms in the heat of the holiday season that shut down the entire East Coast, the Midwest. We've had floods and famines and droughts that have created a shortage of a commodity product called cotton. And we've had certain things that are going on. And I teach at NC State, and one of the things that I was doing recently was meeting with some of the professors there that are in the meteorology group. And we were talking about, I said, isn't this a dramatic period of weather? And they all agreed that, yes, every 12 years, we go into a dramatic weather period. And we're in one right now. How long do those dramatic weather periods last? Generally between 9 months and 13 months. And we're in the midst of one right now. So that means that we're going to have a continued level of dramatic weather as we go through this. So it really is likely that we are going to see more of this. And we also have to recognize it changes the way the consumer purchases. Seasonal purchases, purchasing 4 months in advance. That's not the way of the future. The consumer is now buying product that they need now, want to use now, and will purchase now. Instant gratification. And when you think about how that's also changed, if you bought material to prepare for a hurricane or repair from a hurricane, you then all of a sudden spent money that you would have been spending on something else. And that changes the way you buy as well. So we've got to recognize that spending has now all kinds of issues that are changing the way in which we spend. There's another distraction that's going on, and this is amazing to me that government has now entered into all of our lives and all of the way in which we spend. And really, what am I talking about? Just think about what happened only 2 months ago when the government was basically about to shut down. And the consumer stopped spending. We saw the consumer stop spending for 6 days straight because they couldn't believe that the government was going to allow itself to just cease. And what happened was, well, we came up with a last-minute ditch plan to be able to put a Band-Aid on it, and guess when that's due? That short-term fix is going to come due right in the midst of the holiday season, November 22nd, right before the big Black Friday weekend of shopping, okay? Before Cyber Monday, right before all that, we're going to see the next deadline that needs to be passed. So we've got, all of a sudden, government playing a huge role in getting involved in what's going on. All right? It's also what's going to be what's called a major election year. A major election, when a sitting president has served its 2 terms, or the sitting president, current sitting president, has an approval rating of under 50%. Sound familiar? This will be a major election. Major elections create major distractions when it comes to consumption. And one of the biggest ones of all, the job market. How the consumer feels about the so-called American dream. Come to this country, get a job, and buy a home. The great American dream. In fact, you were able to buy a second home. But now, a lot of people had to move out of those second homes. And some people even say that the great American dream is over. Well, I don't think it's over, but I certainly think it's changing. And what we've got to do is recognize, how do those changes occur? Just look at home ownership. From the peak period of 1994 to 2007, when the housing bubble was on the move, it contributed over $2 trillion to U.S. retail. This is a worldwide issue, not just the U.S. And what we've got to recognize is all that extra money that was given to the consumer through second mortgages, reverse mortgages, and even through taking out a mortgage and getting 120% financing, that's what created an opportunity to really get growth. Well, that's gone. So we now have to figure out, how do we solve that problem? And when you look at what's going on in the job market today, it's very different. We've got automation that has now replaced jobs. There used to be 2.5 million cashiers in the United States. Today, you're looking at the opportunity to be able to see by the end of 2013, there will be only 2 million. Why? Automation. All right? When you look at other industries that are being affected, outsourcing of all kinds of product and all kinds of communication, automatic tellers, all right? Even calling for information is now computerized. The union that works with the United Union Auto Workers made sure that everybody that lost their job was retrained. That's not true across the board. So without a jobs program being put in place, the American consumer is going to be hard-pressed and challenged to be able to sit there and find a good reason to generate us out of this recovery period with great gusto. Basically, remember, the consumer represents 75% of the economy. And without the consumer feeling comfortable and confident, we're not going to see a speedy recovery. In fact, when you look at this chart, take a look at what's going on. Since World War II, these are all the different recessions. And if you just look at the bold red line that kind of extends to the length longer than any of the others, and a deeper one, that's the current recession we're in since 2007. What does this measure? This measures the jobless rate at the beginning of the recession and the decrease in the health of the job market over month to month to month to month. And you can see that while it's not the longest recession, 2001 has that record, it's the deepest. And it potentially has the opportunity to beat 2001 and be the longest recovery. This is the jobs market issue. And it's not going to go away. So what you need to begin to do is recognize, how do you combat that? So there's all these issues and all these distractions that are going on, and recognizing that what has to happen is you have to find ways to sit there and recognize how to combat that. And one of the ways is to understand how to use the information that's going to be given to you correctly. In the next few months, you're going to hear about a couple of big shifts in the census readings. We took the big census report, okay? And the government's going to be releasing these numbers. Poverty level is going to reach 15%, one of the highest numbers since 1993. It's a scary thing to hear about, but it's not all that different. We're also going to hear about multi-generational cohabitation, fancy way of saying the sandwich generation. You selling products and marketing products to multi-generations within one household plays right into your hand for the ability to be able to grow your market. It's a perfect opportunity to do that. But the one that's even bigger than any of the others is the shift in the Hispanic population. They're going to release this chart, and they're going to show you that the Hispanic market is now going to grow at 43%. How many of you really believe that the Hispanic market grew 43% in the United States? You don't. But what's happened is we've done a better job of counting them. My issue is, don't fall prey to be sitting there recognizing that people are going to tell you, oh, this is a huge opportunity to market to a Hispanic consumer. People have been here. Hispanic consumers have been here for the years, for decades. And they've been spending the money. It's now about recognizing that you have to recognize, do you have the right balance? So it's about understanding, are you underserving this market or are you ready serving this market? Don't get fooled just because there's some big numbers. So how do you combat all of these shifts, this information overload? It's really about learning how to do one little thing, and that's innovation. Innovation is how you combat all of those issues and distractions, whether it be electric cars, whether it be the 25-year life cycle of the mobile phone, tablets, could even be one of the, we'll call it the, bulldog theory with a pair of shoes that some people love, some people don't. What I'm really getting at is that innovation is what's driving these products to become favorites of the consumer because they're uniquely different. And that's what's getting consumers to sit there and spend their money. So it really is about understanding. And if you need to be ready for the floods that are coming, well, maybe this is the answer. I'm not quite sure those are going to work, but we'll see. So it really is about understanding innovation and how important it is to the road to success. Anybody want to guess what the most popular or the greatest growth rate for that red line is on the top? What industry do you think that is? Right? What industry? You all know the answer. It's kind of scary. But if I asked anyone in this room who has a teenager, they're going to know the answer before any of us. Why? Because it's all about recognizing. They know the day that your contract is up so that they can get that next cell phone and tell you which one you want. Mobile technology has led the consumer spending when it comes to innovation, consistently updating itself and finding ways to captivate the consumer. Innovation, in my teaching definition, is about how to understand desirability and viability, as well as creating the technology that's needed. But what do I really mean by that? What I want you to think about is the product wanted? Is the product needed? And is the product doable? Now, I don't expect you to be able to do all of these three vectors. But what I do expect you to understand is how do you focus on the product and how do you focus on the need or the desire, but yet find a partner to be able to go out and help you get to the point of making it doable. You're not expected to do all three of these. You're expected to be able to manage the process. That's the key. True innovators are the ones who recognize this formula is what you need to accomplish, but you do not have to accomplish it alone. So it really is about recognizing how do you create that next dynamic and understand what's going on in the marketplace. So you focus on product and learn to partner or outsource the technology side of it. Why? Because even in my own company, I'm sitting there constantly wondering, why are we building all these solutions? By the time we build them, they're already outdated. And so many of us go through this process in trying to figure it out. Why is innovation so critical? Just look at the running shoe market. I noticed a couple of the guys on stage that were talking about innovative products and opportunities for you guys to vote on. Some of them are even wearing running shoes. Well, what's going on? Look at the running shoe business. It's all about visual technology, getting the consumer excited about it so that you can sit there and see growth, even in the men's and women's market. That's what's driving growth. In fact, here's an industry that was able to get the average selling price to grow by 10% in the past 2 years, just by putting visual technology into the mix. That's how important innovation is. It's critical in looking at the same industry that's reached out into using the media and using technology and using companies to partner with them and look at how they've been able to grow online sales. The athletic footwear market, which utilizes all different kinds of outside technological help and assistance, is able to grow their business by 24%, while the other competing venues for them aren't growing nearly at that rate. So it really is about finding the right formula and the right balance. We've all heard about Apple. We all have our opinions about whether it's, done this right, done that right. But what they've done is they've redefined retail. They've redefined retail in the way in which they service the client. Now, are you willing to take your business and spend that same kind of money that they've invested in redefining it? Or are you willing to sit there and say, well, let me partner with those that understand to help me get to that level? This is your newfound competitor. Whether you compete with them directly or not, you are competing. And you must find a way to sit there and create that same level of service that the consumer expects. And it's about understanding the element of how to do that and where to go to get that assistance. So it is about finding the right balance. It is about understanding what goes on. In one chapter of the book, I talk about all these different new retail rules. I'm not going to take the time to go through that. But this is part of a strategy session that I'll work with many of my clients on. And we'll sit there and spend a good day going through how to build strategic and tactical growth opportunities. And the second part of that process is this: understanding what consumerology is. I call it consumerology. Why? Because it's the science of understanding the consumer. And in today's world, the consumer, this is where the epicenter is. Everything starts with the consumer today. It's no longer about what you build. It's about what does the consumer want. And then you build the product and service around the consumer. And then from there, now you get into the whole cycle of purchase behavior, where whether it's retail, whether it's online, social media, digital media, whether it's conversation advertising or done all over again. It's about recognizing how does the consumer relate. They may enter in through an online portal and experience your brand. Will they exit and not tell anybody, or will they continue the cycle with you so that you make sure that you have a 360-degree conversation with the consumer? By the way, the number one influence on almost every product category where consumers spend money is word of mouth. The number one influence. If you're not completing the cycle and partnering with people who can help you do that, you're missing the mark. You're not going to be able to complete this whole cycle. That's how important it is. And many of people sit there and tell me, well, we already do this because we have videos on YouTube. We sit there and tweet on Twitter, and we, speak to our consumers. We have lots of friends on Facebook. Well, that's only scratching the surface. You've got to find ways to bring the product to the consumer so that they understand and know where to feel and how to get it. So it really is about understanding how to take it to the next level. It's about understanding that the consumer is consumed with so many different elements and so many different emails. You heard your winner just before tell you 356 different usernames. All right? It's about understanding the consumer is using so many different ways to communicate. We need to begin to recognize how all of that connects with one another. So it really is about understanding the power of online, social media, and about digital and mobile commerce, and how it plays into different facets and different ways for the consumer to be able to sit there and connect and resonate with your product and your message. All right? So it really is about understanding the dynamic of where we're going to go. If I told you that I could build a product that's going to allow you to read something, research something, TV, watch TV, look at movies, books, sit there and listen to music, games, even sit there and go on the web and look at magazines, do some shopping, work and do your emails and even sync that all together, I would sit there, you'd look at me like, hey, what are you talking about? Well, we've seen companies that have done this. And they spent lots of money building the infrastructure behind it to do that. That's what this is about. You need to figure out how are you going to do it. They took a big risk to do that. You've heard the expression, no risk, no reward. What I want you to do is I want you to know risk and no reward. I want you to understand that you're not in this alone and that you need to go out and find ways to be able to do that. That's how you're going to combat and beat that. So it really is about understanding the future. It's about understanding cookies are now being injected with nutrients for kids to eat, chocolate chip and Oreo cookies that have all kinds of vitamins injected into it. It's about understanding when you go in to buy carpet at a retail outlet soon in the future, you're not going to be buying the carpet, you're going to be buying the service. It's about understanding things are changing right in front of our eyes. You buy a TV today, they'll take it back if you don't like it, and they'll swap it for something else. It's about understanding vertical migration is taking on a whole new meaning and a whole new understanding. You need to keep pace with what all of that is. Even one of the largest companies in the world that delivers packages is now partnering. UPS partnering with the United States Postal Service. That's right. You may now get a package that was sent to you through UPS that the USPS is going to deliver to you. That's what partnering is all about. So it really is about understanding the effectiveness of this. So let me leave you with this. Sometimes courage needs to skip a generation. What do I mean? We've been doing things a certain way. Your company may be built on a certain model or platform, but you need to now think about how are you going to leap past that and have the courage to change it. How are you going to be able to sit there and recognize that basics maintain volume, but innovation is what drives growth? How are you going to adapt to the consumer rather than expecting the consumer to adapt to you? And it's about understanding this. I want you to envision it. I want you to partner it. I want you to build it, and most of all, believe it. And with that, that's how you're going to capture the consumer of the future. It's really in your hands to take advantage of. So with that, I thank you very much, and best of luck to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marshall. Bye. So before we go into our next segment, I just wanted to remind everyone that our breakout sessions don't start till 12:30 today. So you guys have plenty of time to stay over here, and we go straight into lunch. And we've got some great speakers coming up. So before I call our next speaker, let's look at the video.
In the last 30 years, digital distribution has been evolving at a swift pace. But recently, it's made the jump to light speed.
Today, people are consuming digital content at an exponential pace.
Technological advances are changing consumers' behaviors
and their expectations.
They want their content
delivered when they want,
in their format,
on whatever device they choose.
And it all has to be customized to their liking and completely shareable.
Artists, publishers, merchants, and developers are leveraging these new technologies to create disruptive opportunities for themselves.
Models are blowing up.
Experimentation is happening.
Brick and mortars are reinventing themselves. Tremendous progress is being made in providing customers with more options than ever.
Instantly personalized.
Precisely targeted.
Fully shareable.
And digitally distributed through major platforms.
And on multiple devices.
With the consumer's changing expectations and desires,
the demand for greater speed, flexibility, and transparency will require a faster,
frictionless, easier, and more secure payment experience.
Consumer expectations are changing. Devices are multiplying. Distribution channels are evolving. The opportunities are endless. Come develop the digital future. X.commerce. Our platform, your imagination.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Director of Emerging Opportunities, PayPal, Carrie Collier.
Good morning. It is great to be here. In fact, it is fantastic for me to be here. I have been at the company for over 8 years. And the last year, I have had the opportunity to focus on new business models in a new market, specifically in the digital goods space. It has been awesome to be involved in working with all of you at the ground level, helping entrepreneurs make money with new ideas and in new markets. And it's clear that the digital goods opportunity remains to be huge. More than 50 billion connected devices are coming online in the next 10 years. More connected devices means more opportunity to distribute digital content. PayPal is on track to process $4.7 billion this year. That's $1 billion more than last year and over $3 billion more than the year before. But trust me, there is a lot of runway left. You heard it from John yesterday, and I think you've probably heard it over the course of the last 24 hours. Online and offline is blurring. In the next 3 years, we believe that there will be $150 billion that will move physical to digital. Movies, music, news, gaming, you name it. But as big as this hurdle is, there are two critical issues that we have to overcome: payments and walled gardens. And we've got some really great, exciting announcements today to address both of those. So let's start with payments. Last year, on this very stage, we announced that we were launching a PayPal for digital goods solution. Because as we all know, the traditional payment models don't work. We explained it was the equivalent of dropping a quarter in a slot machine. You don't have to leave the game, and you do not have to leave the news article to pay. It also leveraged our micropayments pricing. Just 5 cents and 5% of the transaction, which is substantially lower than what has become industry standard of 20 to 30%. In digital goods, pricing and convenience are critical. So earlier this year, we acquired Zong, because carrier billing is such a popular way to pay, and we're combining it into the PayPal platform. Zong works with more than 250 mobile network carriers across the world. Consumers can enter their mobile number and their PIN. In a matter of seconds, Zong verifies their number and clears the payment on the customer's wireless bill. It's that easy. And for developers, integration is easy as well. PayPal is going to continue to support the Zong's existing APIs. And we will be working to combine those APIs into the PayPal platform in the coming year. So you got it. One single point of integration, and you will have the most comprehensive payment solution for digital goods on the market, all within the PayPal wallet. And we have had some great momentum over this last year since our announcement on the stage. These are just a few of the brands that we've been working with PayPal to monetize their digital content. We've got music, we've got news, and of course, we have got gaming. Here is an industry that has absolutely exploded thanks to connected devices and this new world of which we're calling social. PayPal has been the leader in online gaming. In fact, 7 out of 10 gamers already use PayPal. And they are going to love this. I love this. My boys at home love this. Starting this holiday season, PayPal is going to be integrated on the Xbox console. It's big news, guys. So for gamers, you'll be able to use PayPal to pay for Live Gold subscriptions, Microsoft points, and games on demand. So you don't have to leave the console, go to the computer in order to pay. If you're interested in learning a little bit more, I think you probably would have noticed yesterday the Xbox boxes downstairs on the second floor. Go check it out. Look at the new payment experience, because it really brings our vision of anytime, anywhere payments to life. So solving the payments problem is key. But we have got to get over the walled gardens too. Because as you know, they limit choice. They limit control. And they limit control over your margins and your customer relationships. And ultimately, they limit your ability to monetize content on your terms. So later this year, we're rolling out a simple HTML5 toolkit. It's easy to integrate the PayPal for digital goods experience. No more walls. You can develop payment apps. You can process payments across any device and across any platform. So I want to give you a sneak peek of what's ahead. Praveen is one of our developer evangelists, and he's going to show you what's next.
Thank you, Carrie. What I'm going to show you guys is a simple toolkit that we put together as a proof of concept to show how PayPal APIs can be used in any HTML5 app, making use of all the HTML5 features. What I've got here is a simple open source game, as you can guys see it. I'm going to quickly show how...
Wait, Praveen, that kind of looks like the old asteroids. It's awesome.
It's actually better than that. Does your old asteroid work in any browser or any device?
No, it didn't.
This actually works everywhere. The guy who actually built this actually done an amazing job in showcasing how you can use the HTML5, Canvas, and other CSS3 features to build this game completely in JavaScript and HTML5. So what we did was we extended it a little bit, saying, how about we offer a way for the end users to buy extra missiles using PayPal while he's playing the game? So here, I've got a game. I can fire things, and when I want to buy more missiles, I hit a control key. Again, very geeky. At this point, the end user will hit on, I want to buy more missiles. So I'll click on the button. The PayPal one shows up now. At this point, all I've done so far is integrated with a few lines of the JavaScript code that we provided as part of the toolkit. As you can see here, I have a small button code that shows the offer that you guys just saw, and a small JavaScript code that says initialize the PayPal transaction and call a method called bill. That's right. All the toolkit does is provide two simple methods called bill and verify. In the bill, you pass in a user ID, an item ID, and what's the quantity of the things that the user is buying. At this point, the backend code kicks in. So the toolkit has a second aspect, which is the backend server-side JavaScript PHP code. In the PHP code, all you do is you drop in your inventory information. So for your given item ID that you gave, you can pass in whatever that you want to the end user to show when they're making the payments for. And at the same time, you can plug in your callbacks code to verify the user authentication, the payments. This is where all the security aspects come in. So it's completely secure. You don't have to worry about users stealing your merchandise from your games. So that's all I did. At this point, the PayPal login comes in. This is all live, by the way. No sugar and sweeteners here. At this time, if I hit pay, I get the payment processed through PayPal, and I'll get those 5 missiles. So that's how simple it is. It's pretty easy. The toolkit takes care of, if I can hit the control button, that's where my missile is going. Hit it. All right. So the toolkit takes care of all the complexities. So you can actually don't worry about the integration and start worrying about building a great user experience.
I just want to emphasize this because we are committed to making your life around payments easier so that you can focus on your business and on the experience. So we're taking the complexity out of payments and making it easier. And Praveen, I understand that we're making the source code available today to this audience. Where are we at?
That's actually right. So go to github.com/PayPalX. You'll find a repository called HTML5DG. Let me open it up right now. It is complete source code with the game source code in it. It's free download. You can clone it, modify, make contributions back to the community. I understand. There you go. So now you can access it right now on GitHub. So contribute it back to the community and help everyone with the HTML5. Thank you.
So I think this is a great example of how PayPal is compatible with any technology you choose and our commitment to the open web. So wherever you want to go, we're there. Build it once and distribute it anywhere. If you want to hear more about this, I believe there's a digital goods monetization session at 4:15 in room 2018 later today. So let's take a moment and talk about music. Here is an industry that has been completely transformed over the last decade, thanks to connected devices. We all know that it started with a 99-cent download. Steve Jobs had an amazing vision for how connected devices would redefine the way that we listen to music. And technology gave consumers more choice. And what it also did is it gave artists more control as well. In the past, if they didn't get those big label contracts, they didn't get distribution. But today, it is all changing. Social media has given artists and musicians a powerful tool to reach out directly to their fan base. YouTube, as we know, have literally put unknown artists on the map in a matter of days, and sometimes in a matter of hours. In networks like Facebook, artists can go to where the fans already are. One of our developers, Moontoast, has figured out a way to monetize this trend. Artists can sell their songs on ad networks, affiliate networks, and on social networks like Facebook, without requiring the fans to get redirected to the site. I definitely encourage you to stop by the Moontoast booth and check out their PayPal and their Magento integrations. So it's clear, I'm not stating anything that isn't obvious, that the internet has redefined the way that we get music. I remember when I first discovered Spotify. So I was on a business trip in Europe. My music service didn't work over there. And music has come to be such an integral part of my life. I was determined to find an alternative service. I found Spotify, I downloaded it, and I fell in love. And of course, I downloaded it to 4 other devices that I was traveling with at that time. And I thought, man, if we could only get this in the US. PayPal has been working with Spotify from the beginning. First in Europe, and now in America. And we couldn't be more excited to grow along with their business and to help them expand across the globe. And they're here with us today. But before I bring them on stage, we've got another very special guest. He is one of the first artists to use social media to build and connect with his fan base. He's a pioneer in the music industry, a thought leader, and I think a true digital disruptor. So let me bring them both out. Please help me welcome Timur, an executive at Spotify, and a Grammy Award winner and entrepreneur, Chameleonaire.
Yeah, it's the name they say is running the game. To remain up in the building. So go ahead, hand over the torch.
How are you?
Producer Scott
Timur, how are you? Good to see you. So you caught me a little off guard because you didn't have this thing going on when we were talking backstage.
Yeah, I had it tucked in the whole time. I didn't want you. I want to blind you.
Thanks. So let's get started with the Chameleonaire. So many of you have heard about Spotify. I think many of you have heard some of Chameleonaire's music. What you don't know about him is what a thought leader he has been in music and how he has embraced technology as part of his career very, very early on. So what I'd love you to do is maybe share with the audience a little bit about you, how technology has influenced your career, and where you see the future going.
Well, you know, it started a long time ago in 1998. I started, you know, selling records independently from Houston, Texas. You know, it's not New York, it's not LA. And, you know, I was just a young kid that was, you know, interested in technology and trying to figure out how I could make my fan base bigger. So I would always think of ways to be creative or more, you know, just engaging than the next person. I used to see artists do so many things that I used to think, man, why are they doing that? Why don't they just do this? You know, just be human. So I like set up a website. You know, my website at the time was chameleonaire.com. I set up a forum board, and I didn't know anything about it. I used to research that type of stuff because I was interested in it. And then, you know, I realized I could only have so many fans. You know, fans that were just there that liked my music. And I was like, I used to go to all the other artists and be like, hey, how come you don't have a forum board? They're like, oh, man, I don't do that nerd stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I started making my forum all about all the other artists, not just me, everybody. So now all these other fans started coming to my forum to talk about all these other guys. But then I would do games and stuff, and I used to make a lot of money selling mixtapes and the music and selling merch. Shout out to PayPal, because, you know, they helped me with that.
Yeah, we like that.
Didn't
ask for that, but
you know,
thanks.
I did a lot of, you know, sales through them. But I would be selling stuff, and then I would take the money and invest it back every time I got money. I wouldn't buy no chains like this. I would go invest it back, and I would buy, like, you know, at the time, if it was, you know, Sega or Atari or PlayStation, I would buy it and then do a contest on the site and give it away to the kids that were on the forum. So now, all of a sudden, these fans that are there for everybody else, they would all start becoming my fans because they're like, you know, this guy's a cool guy, you know? And then my fans would be sharing music with them, and that's how it started growing, but not because I was so focused on me. It was because I started using everybody else's fans and just making them my fans. So it got bigger and bigger, and it got the attention of Universal because at the time, it was kind of big to have, like, I don't know, 3.5 million hits or something. So they're like, you know, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right? And I'm saying, I'm being human. You know what I mean? I'm looking at these people like they're my friends. You know, I always, since way back in the day, had an email address, chameleon@chameleonaire.com, and every fan knew they could email me directly and get a response. To this day,
Didn't you give them music away, too, to collect their email addresses?
Yes, I used to do
on?
whatever. I used to do whatever to collect email addresses. To this day, I still have the same email address list from back in the day. Now, mind you, a lot of the email addresses don't work anymore because people aren't using the Net Zero or whatever they were using at the time. But, you know, it was a big mailing list, and when I went to Universal, I kind of felt like they wanted that mailing list. And I was like, you know, when you go to a major label, they want your domain. They want to own your name. And I was like, well, you know, you can get the website as long as you can do this. We have these live broadcasts we do where I get on there and my DJ starts mixing, and the kids listen to that, and they hear me rapping, and, you know, then the screen's going to come on. They're like, no, we don't have the resources to do that. And I'm like, but I thought you were Universal Records, though. You know, like, what do you mean you don't have the resources? So I was like, well, if you can't keep it up to that standard, then I'm not going to give it to you. And they was like, is that a deal breaker? And I was like, yeah. So
well, we're gonna get into that because I do want to bring that up. But I think it to give you a taste of how he's adopt technology very early on in his career. And I want to bring Spotify and Tamar, you into this as well. So what's very interesting is that I think Spotify reached out to Chameleonaire very, very early on when you were setting up the beta for your music services. So can you talk a little bit about why you did that, what you were thinking, how you were bringing the independent artist in as well as the labels?
Yes. Spotify was founded by a music pirate, a guy called Daniel Ek. So his basic point was, why don't we pay something back to the industry? People are going to download, people are taking MP3s from lots and lots of different sites. There's no reason why they shouldn't pay a subscription fee just like Netflix and just eat all you can for a fixed fee. So what's so wonderful about Chameleonaire is that he's really a pioneer in this space. If you look at a lot of the other artists, there's a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of risk involved, especially in the early days. So Chameleonaire is a real pioneer in this. He's also someone who truly understands social networking. You should check out his Facebook page. You go up there and it says, you know, was it step up to the mic and share some punchlines? And he has 677 suggestions for punchlines for his music. So he really understands not only the music, which we deliver on Spotify, but also the distribution of it through social networking. And the beauty of that is he's one of the real leaders in having an engaged dialogue with his audience, much in the same way as merchants do. You having an engaged dialogue with your customers and you're changing your inventory based on what your customers want. Chameleonaire really understands the dialogue with his listeners, with his audience.
Absolutely. One of the things, clearly the three of us have spent a bit of time together the last couple of days, and a couple messages that I heard from both of you was around, to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to be focused and you have to focus on quality. And I think so often, particularly in this world and particularly in kind of the digital sphere, there's a lot of distractions, right? There's a lot of opportunities and new business models you can go after. But I'd love to hear a little bit from both of you. I think, particularly Chameleonaire, how you think about the world, how you think about the choices you make about how to invest and who to engage in your life.
Yeah, first I want to just disclose, I don't make any money off Spotify. I appreciate all the comments and stuff, but, I don't want people to think I'm here promoting Spotify. I like it, I believe that quality raises to the top, and I always believe that. So when I would go to, the major label system, in the corporate world, it's all about, pushing something out quick. It's all about making money. Everything is always money-driven, and I'll be honest and say I made a lot of money without trying, really. I won a Grammy. I never had dreams of winning a Grammy. I just always focused on making things that I thought were great, and that's what I always try to tell developers, people, just make something great. Stop always worrying about money. It'll come if you make something great. The cream of the crop is going to rise to the top. And we would focus on this with the labels, and then we'd be making music, and I'm like, okay, well, let's make this song better. They know it's not good enough, but they're like, nah, we got to get it out by Thursday. But it's not good. We got to get it out by Thursday. And it was like, are y'all caring about quality, or are y'all just trying to put it out? And it seemed more like it was like that, and it got to be a problem for me. And I started to see a lot of the stuff that was successful at the top was the quality. There's a lot of people that create wonderful apps and, wonderful, things that are disruptive, but they don't have the whole plan together. And I was always the person that would take the time to be like, let's figure out the whole plan and figure out how we're going to do this, instead of just being so quick to chase or beat somebody else to the dollar. Like, let's make this thing great. Let's make sure it works. Let's make sure it's not, there's no bugs in it. I had some bumps with PayPal when I first started. There's fans emailing me mad
because say that.
They didn't get their packages from me, and they're pissed at me, So I would always call. I would be talking to mothers, and she's telling me how she spent her hard-earned money, and I'm listening, talking to them on the phone. My mother was helping me. We were physically doing this because we felt like, a lot of times with artists, you're untouchable. I don't want to be untouchable. I want you to feel like you're talking to me. If there's a problem, it's my fault. So I would be like, I'm going to send you 2 more CDs now. And then I'd send them, I'll call them back, hey, did you get the CD? She's like, yeah, my son wants this now. And it's like, okay, wait a second. So you kind of got to balance that. But at the end of the day, it was always about quality. My name is on this. You know what I mean? I want people to feel like it's good because my name is on it, and they're always focused on that, you know.
So, Tamer, can you talk a little bit about what's happening globally in music? I think you both have interesting stories to talk about this, and you've been traveling a little bit. And then we will turn a little bit and talk about the big labels, because I think it would be an interesting conversation for this audience to hear. But let's talk about what's happening globally and what's different about the U.S. than outside of it.
What I will say is, I would say there is I believe in the music industry, there's a fundamental transformation that's going on, really related, I mean, I could hear from backstage, connected devices. Before you download your tune in terms of your iTunes, and you'd have one copy on one device. Now we're talking about having music everywhere. It's in a cloud. You just expect to have it at your fingertips. So that's a very, very important global trend, because music actually drives a lot of the. It's almost like the background. Think about the way you use your PC. You're doing your documents, you're working on the internet, but you got music in the background. A lot of people will have their earbuds in and just be listening to music. So I think you're going to see that meme roll out a lot more, and you're going to have music accessibility at your fingertips in a way that's truly different from the past. A lot of ease as well. Before, you have to download a file. You don't want to deal with that. You just want the music. So that's a very big global trend. I also believe that you have a lot of innovation. And talking about this, it's been very important in terms of monetizing the music. And I'm just going to put a shout out here to PayPal. PayPal is now with us in 9 countries. We're a small startup, but they've been helping our growth. And in fact, they've helped drive our monetization and significantly increase our monetization across the globe. And it's important, because if you're a small company that started again with some music pirates, you do want to have a partner. And again, this is not a pitch. I'm just saying it is important to have a turnkey solution that you can go to and say, okay, we're going to go here, or next, we're going to go to. We launched in Denmark today. Well, Denmark's who's going to build a payment solution for? Denmark's an important country, but the resources how do we end up developing the I know. How do we end up?
Nobody's from Denmark.
Any Danish people? So how do we end up doing the payment solution for a country like Denmark? Well, PayPal's right there for us, and that goes on across the globe. And for all of us, I think it's a really important solution.
So you talked a little bit about, and you said this yesterday, what really stuck with me, music being everywhere, and how you, I guess, captured it was that the internet is silent.
Yeah.
Think about that. I thought about it last night going home. The internet is silent. And everything you do, unless you actively decide to engage in some sort of noise or music, it's there.
So
where are you going? Where's Spotify going? Or what's your vision? And I think, and then to hook onto that, we launched an HTML5 solution, or a toolkit, I should say. HTML5 is kind of the way to open up the web. Is that on your roadmap? Where do you see that going?
So we talk a lot about the silent internet. So I'm not saying that the internet should be like TV. It's a much broader experience. But when you listen to when you go to a movie, there's dialogue on the movie. There's background noise, background music. You're not even aware of it, but it sets you move. It gets your heart beating. It sets your emotional state in a way that makes you more receptive to the message of that movie or the theme of that movie. So we talk a lot about the silent internet. And how we think in the next, literally in the next few months or in the next few years, that's going to change. You're going to have the ability to integrate music into websites. You're going to have the ability to impact the mood of the people that you're engaging with. And that's something that's very, very exciting. That's something that's going to change. I'm not saying it's going to be us or our competitors, but the fault lines are developing within the industry that it gives tools for people to put music everywhere. And in fact, we were talking about this off stage.
It sounds kind of like some of that stuff y'all wouldn't disclose to me that I was trying to get y'all to tell me about.
Yeah, got it. So,
maybe it's a hint.
So, yeah. Now, I look at the world, a lot differently than a lot of people in my industry, because, everything's so driven on money, and people are, feeling like, this music, we should be paid so much money off of it. I still think it's kind of crazy that I say words into the air and get paid millions to do that. Like, isn't that kind of crazy if you really just think about it? Like, it's amazing, it's wonderful, but I don't think that's the way the world's going to be. I think, getting the music out to as many places as possible is the wonderful thing. I've been all across the world in the past 12 months. I've probably been in 9 different countries, and I go there, and there's people that don't speak English. They speak Portuguese, they speak whatever, and when I sing a song, that melody, the whole crowd is singing it, even if they don't know English. Like, that is amazing. Music, every day, it wakes people up and it makes them feel a certain way. So these companies that are coming with these innovative and disruptive ways to get this to people, I embrace that. I believe that we should forward that, I think by this time now, we're supposed to be in flying cars already, We're not in flying cars yet. So maybe somebody out there can make that happen pretty quick for us, I believe that we need to move faster into the future and not try to always block everything that might be disruptive. That's the labels learned that from Napster and all the stuff that they were trying to stop. They came anyways. I think, more of the people in my industry should be here trying to figure out ways that we could gel together. They tell you not to do music startups and not to, I disagree.
Can we pause on that for a second? Because I think one of the big messages that I wanted to get out to this audience is the two of you have come at a traditional old industry in very different ways, right? And you're starting to see change and you're starting to see the disruption, and it may happen, early, it may happen, years from now. But what would you advise this group of bright, intelligent people who are looking for that next business model that may require changing a whole new industry? We talk about shopping and retail, kind of what's on the horizon there. So what would you share with them?
The main thing I would say is, man, you got to be passionate about what you're doing, man. You got to know why you're doing it. You got to be authentic about it. And you got to be willing to take some risks. The risk takers are the people that I love, man. I was watching, the Bloomberg episode of Elon Musk from, Tesla or whatever. And he was I was just
PayPal?
watching PayPal. Also.
Yeah, how about that?
I was watching some of the stuff, the risk that he was taking. It's people like that that really change things. There's a lot of people that say, oh, I'm going to make a copycat Facebook, or I'm going to make a copycat this. It's the people that are coming up with the new ideas that I appreciate. I believe all rules are made to be broken. I remember I had went to Puerto Rico for the Mix Show Power Summit, and, the guy from Universal got up there and he told everybody, Universal Records is now signed Chamillionaire. And I was like, Universal Records signed me? I don't have Chamillionaire money in my account. So how can you tell everybody you signed me? But they did, because there are other labels there, and they didn't want the other labels to come talk to me. So I went to the guy from Universal and said, hey, man, what's up with that? We didn't sign anything yet. He says, oh, don't worry, we'll get the money in your account. But it's millions. So I was like, okay, I need it there by Monday. And he's like, oh, no, it takes longer to clear money. And I was like, man, if it's not there by Monday, I'm not signing. Man, that money was in my account by Monday and it cleared? I'm so that's when I got my first taste of, wow, rules can be broken if you don't follow the rules. Let's just do some crazy disruptive things and, try to change the world. And that was the
I want to get up and start coding now. And Tamar, so I'd love to just hear a few words from you, and then I know that we got to start wrapping it up a little bit, and I'm sure you guys will be available for some more questions.
I'm going to keep it really brief. I think there's a real balance here. For example, when I worked at Google, we had a lot of the ad agencies that we're dealing with, and then we came out with AdWords, which created a whole new marketplace. And the innovators in that marketplace on AdWords ended up being the new ad agencies, or being bought by the new ad agencies. So transformation does occur. And I think transformation does reward the innovators disproportionately. So again, when I look at what's going on out, in the music industry, I have, deepest respect for the labels. We work with them. They are transforming, and they are helping us. They're the ones who actually helped they actually brought Spotify to the United States. But I do see a very close alliance where you do see people like Chamillionaire who are out there pioneering new distribution models, in the end becoming very much part of the new ecosystem. So I do see the more conservative establishment, but I do see the transformation occurring in a very positive way.
Fantastic. So I think it's a great message to end on. I want to thank you both for coming. Wish we could spend more time with you. I know you're going to be around. I think, Chamillionaire, you're looking at attending some of the sessions if people have direct questions they want to work with. And Tamar, I think you got to get on a plane. So thank you both so much. I got to wrap up. So
thanks for all the compliments, man. Appreciate it, man.
Good, man. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Security.
So just... So I know they want to get the next speaker up here, but in closing, I just want to say that I really loved what Chameleonaire said about taking risks, right? Because it's the passion of the people and the willingness to innovate and to transform century-old industries that are going to win. So I just ask all of you, bring to us your ideas. PayPal is absolutely committed to continue to invest in this digital space and to invest in all of you. So share with us your ideas. Tell us how to take your creativity and make it a reality. And thank you for coming and spending the morning with us. It's been fantastic, and I really enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. You guys got to listen to a great panel. But before I bring out my last speaker, I want to say something which stuck in my mind and something that has really resonated. And I hope that you guys take this as a message. And that what Chameleonaire said, cream from the crop will rise to the top. And that's what you guys should be looking at, and how you guys can innovate and how you guys can bring your ideas. Don't worry about the money. The money will come. It is the idea that gets you to that next level. And with that, it's my privilege now to introduce you guys to someone that I have been truly inspired with, and his name is Chris Bangle. He's been doing some great stuff in the automotive industry for quite some time. He started at Opel, first where he worked on the design of a junior concept car. Then he spent time at Fiat working as a chief design officer at Fiat Coupe. But then perhaps he's best known for his work at BMW. He was the first American chief designer at BMW. In 1992, he designed the Z9 Gran Turismo car. I know most of you guys play video games, so have seen the Gran Turismo car. And the new line of BMWs all the way down till 2009. Currently, Chris is running his own design studio called Chris Bangle & Associates, and he's based in Italy. Please welcome Chris Bangle.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Managing Director Chris Bangle Associates, Chris Bangle.
Hi, guys. Ooh, man, you got up early. Some particular reason? I mean, so many people dressed in a tie, huh? All right. Well, I'm also going to say thanks for having me, and thanks for stretching out your morning so that I can fill up the very end of it. I've only got a little presentation I want to show you about innovation and thinking and design and cars and, I don't know, whatever you want, okay? And I know that that's all that stands between you and getting some more to eat and drink and stuff like that. So I have only 412 slides. And Patrick backstage says he's going to advance them really fast. I want to talk to you from a spot where you probably don't always go in your minds, and that's the spot you're not supposed to be. And that's why I call this thing Tales from the Forbidden Zone. Okay, you know that I came from the car business, that I was almost 30 years inside the business. I still work on car company projects, but I'm no longer inside the business per se. And these are some of the brands that in my last 17 years at BMW I worked with. Now, car design is something that you might think is really difficult, and it takes all these kinds of teams and stuff to do. It's true, but it's actually becoming easier and easier. In fact, I'll show you how to do it really simple. You can be a car designer. You go to a car show like this. You take some pictures of some cars you like. Nice rear end, nice car too. And then you find a nice show car that you like this BMW here. And you take the car that you're thinking about. This happens to be a Lexus. I just picked it off the net. And you smoosh the two together, right? And that's it. There you go. We're done. That's car design. Cut and paste. It can't get any simpler than that. Well, that actually is almost true. It does actually seem like it gets that way. Anyway, this is a job I did for many, many years in the industry. That's my successor at BMW, Adrian van Hooydonk, looking at me like, get out of the way, get out of the way. Anyway, that's the job I used to do, and this is the job I do now. I left the company, and I started working in northern Italy at our house. We're fixing up a farmhouse. And when you fix up a farmhouse, it's a lot of work for that. This is what it looks like. It's just south of Torino.
And in the wine area, this is the sewers of Paris that we're building, I think. No, that's actually the wine cellar that had to be rebuilt. And this is what it kind of looks like. Now, there's some really interesting lessons that I want to take to you from that experience. We like to do a lot of art. I like to do art. I like to sculpt women, particularly. And my wife said to me, can't you do something useful for a change? So I said, okay, maybe I can combine the two. This is a sink I'm making. Let me just rotate the sink. There we go. That's what the sink looks like. It's based on a poem. Do you know this poem? It's a limerick about the girl from Devisors who had breasts of two different sizes. One was quite small, hardly anything at all. The other was big and won prizes. Anyway, so that's the sink. And the idea that my wife in particular is always telling me, I want this. And I'm always thinking, I kind of want this, A or B, A or B. Most of the time, it turns out that if you're really clever, you can combine the two. You can have your cake and eat it too. And that's one of the first messages I want to give to you guys. When you are confronted with an issue that says, this or this, this or this, this or this. No, try and get both. Go from, and maybe even throw in, not A and B, but also C and D and E as well. I'll give you a little example. My wife wanted a tree at our house. She said, I want a tree, kids will come by, they'll sit in the shade, they'll play at the tree, and I want it right here where you want a garage. And I went, yeah, but I have this garage idea in my head, this is actually Jay Leno's garage. It would be really cool if that was my garage. But unfortunately, they occupied the same space at our house. Here's the garage being built, and there's only about this much dirt on top of it, so you couldn't fit a tree. And besides, I didn't have 30 years to wait for this bloody tree to grow. So I thought, well, maybe I can make a tree. And maybe I can make a tree that will make my wife happy and make me happy too. So first I started out by seeing how big this thing has to be. This is a mock-up I did out of wood. And then I made a little sketch. Okay, what happens if instead of leaves it has colored glass? So you're like under a Tiffany lampshade. And maybe we can grow some vines on it so eventually it gets real vegetation. And in fact, I made some mock-ups. Here we go, Patrick. Thank you. There's some mock-ups. Did a quick little computer model with my guys. And we started building it. This is a tree being built. It's all made out of steel. You have to haul it up to our house in pieces, so we get the farmers to do it, and they also contribute a little bit to the whole idea, which is kind of nice. We put it in the yard. That's it, right before it got sunk down into the dirt, and then began to fill it up. Here's the mock-up done in wood, and then the final pieces are done in steel, and now we're beginning to put the plexiglass panels in. Since I took this picture, we got about half the colored panels in place. I would have brought you a picture of it finished, but my BlackBerry went down this week. What the hell happened? I mean, come on, guys. Anyway, so this is the deal on it. And what it turns out is the light coming through this colored panes shines on the grass really prettily, shines on you, And I think this is going to be great fun for kids, too, when it's all done. And most importantly, I've got a happy wife, okay? So you can have your cake and eat it, too, if you really think about it, and maybe not do things always the same way. Trees are not always trees. So A and B, but not always the same way. I like to do portraits of people. This is a portrait I did of this young woman. She's very happy because I told her it was going to be a nude, and then I forgot to tell her I was going to reveal it in front of 300 people. And so when it turned out not to be, she was very relieved. I'm going to show you a portrait of me. The reason portraits are interesting is they tell you a lot about the person inside you. This is an actual CAT scan of my head, and I found out something very interesting. Now, watch this. There is a pig inside of me. Patrick, can you go back? Go back. Go back one, Patrick. There, thank you. Now watch. Go ahead again, Patrick. One slide. There's a pig in me, right? This is so cool. If you want a cool business opportunity, I think you should be doing brain scan personality assessment tools. And, and the person looks at you and goes, ooh, you got a pig inside you. Okay, management fast track. All right, here. Away with you. Anyway, if you were going to look at car designers, they would look like this, though. Car designers have this one expression on their face all the time, deer in the headlights combined with the scream. The reason why is this A and B scenario is everything about car design. It's all about combining two things that really don't want to be combined. This is a typical engineering brief. The engineers say, we want it like this, and technical, and small, and you get in and out. And the marketing guys say, exactly that, but it's got to look like that. You got that? You can put that two together. This is one of the reasons why a lot of cars that start out as good ideas don't always wind up as good ideas. Something gets lost in the translation. Car design is a very much an artistic hands-on process because we search for perfection in surfaces. I'm just going to rattle through these. These are some images courtesy of BMW on what it's like inside a design studio where people really, 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 really concentrate on things to get the ultimate in the perfection. This is just a blow-up of the front of a BMW. They're discussing a tiny little detail you would only see if you look right down in the grill and get on your knees and criminy. But that's very important to eliminate those. The reason is that design is kind of a process like taking you through a labyrinth to get you from an object to doing the right thing. In this particular case, the object is a car we want you to buy, and the reason why is we want a sustainable world, don't we? So we give a sustainable car and you buy it, because in the middle of the labyrinth you find something you're in love with. And that's how it works. You go through, you find the same love affair the designers had. That's Pygmalion there kissing this statue. And if you don't do it, though, if they don't find something they're in love with, they get lost in the labyrinth and they don't do the right thing. This is sometimes a question of just sub-millimeters. The reason? That car we're trying to sell you, we want you to think it's just like Audrey Hepburn. It's a sex object. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And you know, Audrey, she's a delicate person. You know, it doesn't take much. She's not the same girl. Can you go back, Patrick? All right, go forward once. You know? Just a millimeter or two, and it's no longer the same person. The same with the cars. So this was my job, as I said, for about 17 years in BMW. Actually, the job of Chief of Design in BMW, this is what your job description really is. This is what you are there. And the good thing about this is you get some very good consultants who give you some very good advice. Of course, you have to put the two things in relationship. You know, consultants to you, in this particular case. Let me just get this into the right perspective. There we go. Are we far enough? There. Okay. That's probably the right ratio. And one thing I learned from this great consultant is you have to see the world as kind of a big pyramid. A pyramid that at the bottom is what you do. That's the final thing, is what you do. On top of that is how you do it. But most importantly is why you do it. Why you do it is the most important thing. And it's a top-down pyramid. Because if you don't start with why to end up with what you do, you start with this thing I'm in love with. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm just doing it. You might wind up to the top of another pyramid that has a wholly different why. A why like doesn't make money, as opposed to a why like make money. So start from the top down. And the most important thing about why, the important question to ask is the question of culture. Culture counts. Every culture, the culture of your company, your culture, the culture around you, of your clients, every culture is important. Even designers are a culture. Many years I was in the business, I asked, why do we have designers anyway? I mean, I just did a cut and paste object for you. Why do we have designers? Well, maybe designers are a bit like dogs. You know, why do you have a dog? You have a dog to win a prize. You have designers to win you prizes. Maybe you can't see and you want to know where to go, so you get a designer who's like a dog that shows you where to see. Maybe you've got all the other parts of your team hooked up. The only one you're missing is the designer. You hitch him onto the team as well. Well, I'll tell you something. If these are the reasons why you have a dog, let's leave aside the blind for a moment, because that's actually quite a very good reason. But if the reasons you have a dog is that you want to win prizes or you want to make it work, it's the wrong reason. The same reason for designers. You have a dog because you love it. And if you don't love the dog, just having it for prizes isn't enough. And it's the same with designers. You don't have designers in your team just because they work for you. You have them because you love them. Because both, like dogs, they make a lot of crap to clean up. You know? And if you don't love them, you won't stick around for that part either. Well, if that's just one insight into asking why of a culture, why do something, then the next part is, well, how? How are you doing things? And the most important thing of how I've learned is you challenge everything. Every single thing you see, you think, you do, that somebody tells you we've always done it this way, you challenge it. And to help you understand this, I'm going to give you 3 red lights to challenge. These are 3 red lights. The most obvious one, maybe you've been with some of these red lights last night. You guys were all at the drag strip? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Okay, this is an easy one, a stoplight. What do stoplights tell you? They tell you stop, don't do this, stop, don't go there, stop, right? Stop what you're doing. It reminds me of this dog. You know Cerberus, he's the dog in hell with 3 heads. This, he stops you from doing things, right? I'm writing a book about car design. I decided I needed a dog to represent marketing dogmas. So I have my own 3-headed marketing dogma. This is it. These are the sketches for it. I decided to put the heads in different spots. So he's got like a head in the front, a head in the back, and a head down here. He's actually got a 4th head, but you can't see it because it's up his, Anyway, so this is my 4-headed marketing dogma. And all these dogmas are always tell you no, stop, stop, stop. It's sort of like, as a designer, you feel that you're in the middle of an ocean that has 3 edges, like the Phoenicians. You're going to fall off the edge, right? If you go too far. And everybody's trying to keep you from getting near those edges because, my God, you don't want to go over the edge. What are the 3 edges? I think you guys know them. I've never seen that before. That's an edge. That won't work, or it costs too much. And that's not our brand. That's one of the most killer edges you'll ever come to. And so a design director is often in the middle pounding that nail in there to make sure that the designers don't go over the edge. Well, that's a bunch of hooey. That's a bunch of crap, right? At BMW, one of the strongest dogmas they had was everything looks the same. The dogma was represented by one sausage cut into different lengths. So all the cars had to look the same. But that was no way to go forward. Though even the company itself knew that's not going to get us the big product palette we need. We need a different way of looking at it. We created a strategy called the bookend strategy, which says it's not about a sausage being cut up. It's about how many different books you can fit on a bookshelf. We made all the books, fit them in, and that was the product policy. And along the way, we ticked some people off. I'll admit, we made some cars that were a little bit out there. And we learned something. When you're on the front edge of some innovation, particularly in a house as big, a brand as powerful as, let's say, that of BMW or anyone, you're going to take a lot of heat. But the job of the people on the front end is to be like the lightning rod. You're there to take that heat. Okay, you need a strong house underneath you. That's important. But when the press comes down on you, they're going to look for one person to zero in on. And that is totally okay. That's your job, to take that heat, because that lightning rod has the best view. And I'll tell you, in the future, everybody's going to be taking heat for one reason or the other. So you may as well get used to it by being out in front. Okay, so as far as that dogma is concerned, know when to shoot your own dogma. Run the stoplights, okay? When they say stop, think go. And of course, the other red light goes with drag racing. That's that sport, really fast. For those of you who've never followed it, it has these lights that say, yellow, 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 yellow. And when they turn green, you go. But if you go too fast, you go too soon, you get a red light. And in fact, Don Garlitz very famously once said, he was a world champion drag racer, he lost a world championship because he was too fast. He was too quick. He got a red light. And somebody said, hey, Don, man, you red lighted away a whole season. How's that feel? And he says, you know what? You don't red light every once in a while, you're not racing. And that's the truth. When we were starting on Rolls-Royce, we were told, wait, not now. You've got 2 years to do it in. Just wait. There's no budget now. Don't do it now. Jeff Upex, who's standing there with the tie, he and I thought it over, and we said, you know what? If we don't do this now, we're never going to get this done. A Rolls-Royce is a very complicated brand, and you really have to admire the people Ian Cameron and his team, who have been running it for many years. But the start of that started way before BMW thought it was ready to go, because Jeff and I, who was the design director of Rover, he and I both decided, we got to go now. And I think everybody's happy we jumped it. So when your team sometimes makes the mistake that they're too aggressive, please back off on them. If you don't red light every once in a while, you're not racing. And the third red light is a red light district. That is where everybody was last night. Is there even one of those anymore? You know what, we say that. In Europe, they actually look like that. They have red lights in the windows. What is a red light district? Well, it's forbidden. You're not supposed to go there. Don't go there. Going where you're not supposed to go is one of the best things you can do. You know this graph? Everybody who's ever had a business course knows this graph. This is a successful company, and just as the paradigm of their success begins to go down, they launch off on a new product, and they win hearts and minds. In fact, just as BMWs were starting to get really dull, they launched off with a whole new series of cars, and people thought, you just came up with that yesterday or something? That was in 2002. Well, I'll tell you, this kind of a curve is a bunch of BS. It doesn't work like that. You have to start at the very beginning, back when everybody's thinking in a different route. In 1993, Marek Djordjevic, I was talking to him. He's a designer at DesignWorks, a great guy. And he had an idea for a completely different kind of way of doing a sports car. So I said, okay, Marek, I don't know where that's going to go, but just go down that way. Send people down an avenue you don't know what's going to happen. If you can do that, you're a vision-driven company. If you can keep that going, even though you're making money on something else, at the time, BMW decided to do a retro car, a completely different way of doing cars, right? Why are we doing these advanced cars? The world wants retro cars, don't they? If you can keep that going, even though you're making money somewhere else, you're a research-driven company. And in fact, Gina, the car made out of cloth, is a direct descendant from that research. We kept it going, even though all around us people were saying, cut the money, stop the budget. If you do cut money for that kind of research, you're a cost-driven company. But if you can keep at it, then you will go past the situation when the curve really begins to die the wrong direction, and you have nothing. It's too late to start thinking of things. You can't develop them that late. If you stay at it and you break through, then you are, in fact, a leadership company. And, you know, from the outside, those two areas, I shaded them green. I hope you can see it. From the outside, they look the same, as if you just thought of this idea yesterday. But it only works if you start long, long before. And in fact, if you take that curve and you go to a company, any company, PayPal, anybody like this, and you say, where are you guys on this curve? Then you get some sort of idea how they see themselves. So going to a red light district, to be quite honestly, you have to send people where it's forbidden. It's an okay thing to do. One of the most forbidden things we did was to in fact, put in question the whole way to make a car. And this is the story of Gina, which in the short form is we took the clothes off a girl, we put them on a chassis, called it a car. But what it really was our look at how you make things. This is the scariest picture I'm going to show you. It takes a room that big, full of that much stuff, to make one hood of a Mini. Okay? All those stamps in a row. It's a room that huge. It's enormous. Can you imagine what's going through these engineers' minds when you say, hey, you know, like real-time customizing and, you know, like variations, and they're going, make the room work. So we put that in question by saying, okay, what would happen if you didn't make a car out of steel? If you made it out of cloth? These are the first pictures of the car of Gina that was done in 1999 and done by a young guy who wasn't even a car designer. I wasn't too impressed because cloth cars have been around forever. Every truck on the road in Europe is cloth. But the really nice thing that Fernando Pardo, as the designer's name, did on this was he looked at it from a purely emotional point of view. He said, we can challenge a dogma if we challenge the emotional underpinnings of it. What's so emotional about the steel anyway? What's that doing for you? And in fact, we made this car. The underside is all aluminum, so it takes the crash, and the outside is cloth. I'm going to spare you the video because I think you guys have all seen that, right? But it opened our eyes to a whole new way of looking at things. Wrinkles can be beautiful. How about that? You don't have to have really cool plumbing under the hood to get people excited. Maybe just how you open something is sexy, you know? We all have that hardwired in us. Of course, it's got some functional features like the aerodynamics that go up and down, but the most important thing we learned is you can change the personality of something. You know, this is the standard way of doing the front end of a car. You freeze it in place. There you go, yeah? And the difference between this car and this little girl is, in about 20 seconds, the little girl's going to take her fingers out of her mouth, you know, and she'll be a sweet little girl again. This poor car is frozen forever like that, yeah? It could be worse, you know. So with Gina, we actually found out we're maybe doing some right things. I mean, we looked at the cloth. Is it a good thing to do? I had an ecological assessment done back then. Turns out a square meter of is 1/10 the ecological footprint, no matter how you measure it, of painted steel. Just to tell you, it's about 1/3 of unpainted steel, which shows you how bad the painting process is for cars. It's the most expensive and the least ecological part of making the cars in the assembly. And more importantly, people liked it. They thought it was really cool. It went pop. This is some years ago, you know, 4.5 million hits. All this because the idea of how you do something, the forbidden territory to do something in a material that nobody talked about, we decided to explore. We even found out you can do models differently that way. This was a car that never was. It was a 3 Series that lost out in the final competition. But the beauty about it was, after the board said, sorry, we're not interested in it, it's close, but it's not the one we want, I said, yeah, that's true, but look how it's made. You know, that was all done with flexible skin. And at our own house, we decided to start casting concrete in Gina. This is a little man-in-the-moon sculpture. It's a test piece we did in concrete. The concrete is cast just using cloth draped over things instead of making forms. So we painted it gold. We put it out there. It looks like the man in the moon. So these 3 lights, this stoplight that I'm going to ask you to run, this red light that I'm going to ask you every once in a while, if you don't get one, you're not racing, and the red light district, this forbidden zone. These are 3 things that I want you to remember. These red lights, they're okay. Well, except for the stoplight. We'll keep the stoplight out of there. They're okay. Okay, we talked about why. We talked about how. But now there's what. Well, what do you do? What? What? Well, be courageous. Do it. I always say that, right? Well, do what? Now, the most important thing. It's what you must do, what you can do, what you want to do, and what you should do. If you look at something like a car, this is the amount of money you spend is made up about this much that a company has to do, this much they can do, this much they want to do, and this much they should do. That's the total cost of making that car. So just to give you an example, what we must do. I mean, if you don't do all the safety and all this other kind of stuff, you're not even in the game. But you know what? Nobody will give you a nickel for that. Nobody's going to pay you extra because the car is safer. They're not going to pay you extra because the car is more ecological. They say they will, but they really don't. Last year's airbags or something that was a special option are next year's standard equipment, right? But you got to do that. What you can do is what most companies are really involved in. We can do this, so let's do it. Yeah, we can do this, so let's do it. Be careful when people tell you they can do something, you know? It's not always a good reason to do it, you know? We can do it, so we should do it, right? In the car business, we can do these engines. Oh, we can do 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, 12 cylinders, 44 cylinders. Hey, we can do these transmissions, 3-speed, 4-speed, 7-speed, blah, 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 like that. We can do all that. Okay, I guess so. They can do it, so they tend to do it. What they want to do, this is the grease in the system. What you want to do is that part that says, I don't know how to do it, but I want to do it. This is where innovation comes from. So I think want is actually okay. Somebody wants to make a car drive like a go-kart, that experience. They say, I have to invent a suspension system for it. And the next thing you know, they can actually create a car that drives like a go-kart and has all these cool things. Now, the danger is when can and want get together. We want to do this, and we can do this. We want to do this, we can do this. So they start doing things they want to do and can do, even if maybe what they should be doing is something totally different. And if you really looked at the consequences of what you should be doing, it puts into question the future of all those things you can do. You know, as soon as ubiquitous electric motors are there, who's going to pay extra money because you can make 12-cylinder engines? Extra money because you can do these transmissions that aren't there in the cars anymore. All right? You got to be really careful when you put can and want together. With designers, it's really dangerous. So what is what you should do? That's actually what customers pay you for. And sometimes it's really simple. Just give me what I want, what you should do. Like a cup holder. You know, when I got to BMW for many years back in the 80s, they had serious issues in America because they never realized this is the one thing they should do. Have you ever looked at the heart of this? The why behind the cup holder? Maybe it's something as significant and as deep-seated in every human being as just the need to be served. You know, that's a very basic why. Well, the future is you're going to have to do more of what you must do. There's no way around this. There's going to be more laws, more regulations. Even you guys who just think it's so simple to go out there in this internet sphere and do what you want to do are finding, of course, every day there's more things you must do. Okay, that much is given. But the real trick is going to be get rid of what you can do or turn it into what you should do. Leave a little bit of what you want to do because that's the grease in the system. But don't just do things because you can do them. Do it because you should do it. That's the real trick, okay? The future is do more what you should do and less just because you can do it. Now, I talked to you about design being this labyrinth. Now I'm going to show you something really, really spooky. Okay, designers like to think inside this labyrinth they beat each other up naked. It's not really true. Inside this labyrinth is, of course, the Minotaur, that thing that's hidden there, that you're searching for and you're also afraid of. But we like to think that in the center of that labyrinth is something we're in love with, right? I'm going to take you deep into my thoughts, and you're going to see a car which is going to be beautiful, and you will be in love with it. Well, I'll tell you that the trick is, those are the same thing. The thing you fear and the thing you love are the same. That beautiful woman at the center of the labyrinth is also a sirena. You know, sirenas are these half fish, half women that capture the sailors and don't let them go. And so what it turns out is, You get stuck in this labyrinth doing what you can do, what you want to do, but not what you should do because you're just in love with this idea. You know, it's that Audrey Hepburn in there you're in love with, so why should I leave it? And in fact, in car design, what we're in love with is the history of cars. We love these old cars. They're wonderful. So we keep trying to emulate them, trying to extend them in what we do. And you know what? It's getting pretty dangerous. You see this ad here? This is a Chevy ad from a year or two ago, you know, saying it was the roar of your engine, not the ring of your cell phone. You know, it ran on gasoline, but it was electric. These are big ads in Detroit. You know, are those the kind of mentalities that are going to get us through the labyrinth to do the right thing? Or are they going to stick us in there somehow, and we're going to be stuck maybe doing the wrong thing? I'm going to show you a little film clip here. It was on YouTube for quite a while. It's from Mythbusters. Just a little excerpt from it. It's about trying to turn a car into a golf ball because they thought the surfaces on the golf ball, those little dimples that make the air go over it, would make a car more aerodynamic. So they made a car with dimples, and they tested it, and this is the result.
If it works for a golf ball, it ought to work for a car. But somehow I didn't think it was going to be that easy. You can say what you want, though. I mean, the fact is it worked. In fact, it gave us an 11% improvement.
11% improvement. I show this to my students. I teach car design. And I say, hey, if it's 11% better in the fuel, how come cars don't look like this? And they go, because it's ugly, you know? Well, whose fault is that? The car's fault? Doesn't form follow function, you know? Or maybe we're just stuck in a different mindset about what the shape of a car could be. I'm just going to tell you what that costs us. If you're going to reduce the fuel consumption by 1%, you will take down the CO2 emissions by about 1 or 2 grams. That's, you know, if it's 100 grams or 200 grams, so 1 or 2%, it's like 1 or 2 grams. If you were going to reduce a car's emissions by 1 or 2 grams today through technical means, better engines, better transmissions, that cost per gram is 80 to 120 million euros. And these guys just reduced it by 11%? I mean, even if they're wrong by half of it, and I don't think they are, they did a pretty good job. That is an incredible reduction that they got for free. Why don't we do this? Because we're in love with a different kind of shape. We're totally in love with this idea. Perfect surfaces. They have to be perfect. You guys realize that's €1 billion love affair. And that's just one company. Okay? €1 billion love affair for one company. Well, I asked my students, let's look at a car without perfect surfaces. This is one of the last models I had done at BMW. It's a scale about this big. I said, make me one side that looks really nice and normal, like a little sport coupe off-road, but give me the other side in not perfect surfaces. And give them to me all flat. What would happen? Well, the interesting thing about this car is, first of all, when people see it, they don't just go, bleh. They go kind of, oh, well, maybe, you know, kind of interesting. And second of all, those little ridges make the steel stronger, so it could theoretically be thinner and lighter. But more importantly, it will always look shinier than the other side. And remember I told you paint was one of the biggest problems? Wouldn't it be cool if we could get rid of some of that paint by just the way we change the shape? Who knows? It might be a really cool-looking car. Nobody knows. We've never done one. We've never done a car where we eliminated the need for structure and surface by making a car just a structure, like architects do. Who knows? It might be really cool. So I asked some students, look at cars which are not normal. Give me some cars where the surfaces are not standard. What would happen? Is it something we could like? That doesn't have to maybe look like a golf ball. Maybe it could look like something else. Could it have a different kind of an emotion? We'd have a different relationship with it? These are some of the work from some of the students, many of which are still in the industry doing cars for car designers. A young guy from Citroën, Takumi Yamamoto. Could that be a car tomorrow? Well, maybe, maybe not. But look at this picture. This is a Vermeer and this is Lacoon. It used to be everything there ever was to know about art was in these two pieces. Like, it doesn't get any better than Vermeer, and it doesn't get no better than Lacoon. You want to be a sculptor? That's it. And what happened? There was a social revolution, right? Artists took up the banner, the avant-gardists. They created breakthrough concepts of what could be sculpture, what could be art. Oh, really difficult to take. And on the other end, this is what came out. Mondrian, Moore, Calder, pieces which today have significant meaning to us, and they're worth millions. You know what? The Greeks could have done this. I mean, it's not so difficult, you know. I mean, the old Greeks, not the Greeks nowadays. I mean, the old Greeks. I mean, the old Greeks, they could have done this, you know. It takes a little paint, takes a little rock, takes a piece of wire. They had that. It never would have occurred to them because it had no meaning. Will we always have this sculptural love affair with cars of this old school perfect surfaces from these old shapes? You know, even sculpture went through a few revolutions. Is it possible we could take cars to that end too? I mean, €1 billion love affair? That's kind of a lot of money. When Gina came out, Alice Rawsthorne wrote in the New York Times, she wrote, "The most thrilling periods of design history are the ones of the greatest change, when designers interpret the shifts of technology and behavior and politics for the rest of us." I mean, you guys are all designers. Are you out there interpreting those shifts? Nobody can say we're not in times of great change, right? I'd say so. Well, when you do, please remember to ask why first. Why are you doing what you're doing? It'll help you an awful lot. Smooth things downstream. If you start from the other end, you might have some real problems. And of course, how you do it is the biggest question, unless you challenge everything. Remember what you must do, what you want to do, what you can do, and what you should do. And in the future, try and cut down on what you can do just because you can do it, and start looking for what you should do because the why behind it tells you so. And those 3 red lights out there, it's okay. Go to the red light district. Chris says it's okay. Run a red light. It's okay. You know? If you get stopped sometimes because you were too fast, you got a red light like in drag racing, it's okay. Look for those moments. Glory in them. And, you know, along the way, be out there in front with your own ideas. When everybody else says the time isn't ripe, start it now. When everybody else tells you that we're going this way because everybody else is doing it this way, you go in another direction. And when everybody else is out there telling you that the dogmas say we do it this way, know when to shoot your own dogma. Okay? Oh, and by the way, that thing you love most, it might be the most dangerous thing, right? And finally, go do your own tree. You know? Hell, everybody could be an artist. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to cut up some steel and have it made. But the real secret is, have your cake and eat it too. You know, you might make your own wife or your own husband happy. That's not a bad thing, right? So, it counts. Culture counts. Challenge everything. Be courageous, but do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Bangle. So before I wrap up for the day, I just wanted you guys to remember that there are some great breakout sessions. They start at 12:30. Make sure you guys attend them. But walk away with 3 key points. First, you heard our vision yesterday. Make sure that you go to X.com and download our X.commerce developer package. Play with it. Second, give us feedback. We reserve our roadmap based on community feedback, and we want to make sure that we're collaborating with you. And last but not least, this is the start of a collaboration. And we cannot do this alone. So help us shape the future of commerce. Thank you, everyone, and see you all at next year's Innovate.